Senator from Mississippi.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we debate the need for additional coronavirus relief funding, I am pleased to join my colleagues in commending the millions of Americans who have gone above and beyond to help others during this pandemic. Throughout our nation's history, everyday heroes emerge in times of turmoil to aid their neighbors in so many ways. The COVID-19 pandemic is no exception. In every corner of my state, Mississippi's first responders and healthcare providers are historically stepping into harm's way to provide care to patients affected by the virus. Let me first honor the life of William David Martin, a paramedic with American Medical Response of Southwest Mississippi, serving on the front lines of Mississippi's health care as COVID-19 began to spread. Sadly, in April, he passed away from complications due to the virus. Mr. Martin is a true hero and one example of the extent to which first responders and healthcare workers are working to overcome this national emergency. Rural hospitals like King's Daughters Medical Center in my hometown of Brookhaven have always been the backbone of health care in Mississippi. The work of the staff at these rural hospitals, the pandemic has been remarkable. Dedicated nurses like my friend LaRue Lambert, Tammy Livingston, Misty Britt, Christina Miller, and their co-workers, which are so many, toil every day under heavy stress and heart-wrenching situations to care for patients and their families. They are lifesavers, and they are best friends to total strangers. They take on extra shifts and duties while doing what they can to keep morale up. They are healthcare heroes who are enduring extreme conditions. Doctors like Dr. Jeff Ross are working through both physical and mental exhaustion, yet they continue to do their job selflessly, managing the care of their fellow Mississippians. In the heavily affected Jackson metropolitan area, the University of Mississippi Medical Center has brought its unique capabilities to bear. In the early days of the pandemic, its research labs raced to create its own in-house COVID test. At the UMC National Telehealth Center of Excellence quickly ramped up technology and triage patients for testing and provide socially distanced care. I greatly admire UMC's work with the federal government on best telehealth practices during a pandemic. As potential treatments have emerged, UMC researchers and healthcare providers have stood up 8 cutting-edge COVID clinical trials in their new clinical trials unit. Our healthcare providers aren't the only ones who've been working to protect the health of Mississippians. Industries across the state has quickly pivoted to provide needed supplies to fight COVID-19. For example, distilleries like Wonderbird Gin in Taylor, Cat Head in Jackson, and Lazy Magnolia in Kill made the quick decision to begin producing hand sanitizers early in the pandemic. Furniture companies like Comfort Air in Tupelo, which stepped up to produce needed PPE for the North Mississippi Medical Center and our local schools. And Mississippi Prison Industries, a nonprofit that gives incarcerated individuals the opportunity to be employed and gain work experience, is producing up to 15,000 masks and 7,000 isolation gowns per day. Mr. President, since the start of this pandemic, I recognize that we are dealing with 2 emergencies. There's a health care emergency and the economic emergency. I am proud of the many ways in which Mississippians are helping each other weather these difficult economic times. Mississippi bankers worked around the clock 7 days a week to help small businesses, to help them access the Paycheck Protection Program loans. My friend Brad Jones at the Bank of Franklin in Meadville, Mississippi, was so helpful in keeping me abreast of the needs of our local business owners. Because of their efforts, Mississippi ranked #1 in the entire nation in PPP loans with nearly 50,000 loans processed. This tireless work in helping small businesses stay open with their employees at work, Ensuring Mississippians have access to food has been a challenge. A Mississippian who's been a godsend to many families is Andy Mercier, who leads Merchants Food Service in Hattiesburg. In partnership with the Mississippi Food Network, his 800 employees have remained on the payroll and worked to provide more than 100,000 gallons of milk and nearly 500,000 food produce boxes to those in need. These USDA Farmers to Families boxes filled with food products from Mississippi farmers and producers have sustained families and helped our hard-hit agricultural industry. In addition to efforts in the private sector, our churches and nonprofits across our states are also working tirelessly for Mississippians. St. James United Methodist Church in Columbus coordinated with a Delta catfish producer to distribute 5 tons of Mississippi farm-raised catfish to those in need in the Golden Triangle region. Finally, I could not stand up here today and fail to mention our Mississippi teachers, especially as so many schools across our state are beginning the new academic year this month. Last spring, our teachers accepted the challenge and quickly transitioned their classrooms to a new kind of learning through technology and other socially distanced means. While those challenges continue, as schools navigate how best to serve students this fall, each and every one of our teachers will be in my prayers over the next few weeks. Mr. President, in every facet of our society, we have heroes standing up to help their neighbors during unprecedented challenges. To all of the healthcare workers and first responders on the front lines against this virus, to all of the researchers racing to test treatments and develop protocols, to all of the people making hand sanitizers, PPE, to help prevent the spread of this virus, to all the bankers and small businesses working to keep people on the payroll, to all of our farmers, ranchers, food distributors, and grocery store workers keeping food on the store shelves and on our tables, to all our churches and nonprofit organizations serving our communities, and our teachers who are facing challenges they could have never imagined. From the bottom of my heart, I say thank you. Your heroic labors are noticed and they are greatly appreciated. I yield the floor, Mr. President.